right, Matt and Chris back with you guys for another episode of Aftershocks Tremors here on the CMS Network. Chris, what's going on, man? How you doing?
What is up, man? Glad to be doing this again. It's been a while.
Yeah, it's been about we should do them about once a month or so. I think it's
Yeah.
been at least a month, and well, the good thing about having a break in between them is it gives a whole month or so for us to collect up some more doom and gloom for our fans out there.
Yeah, here you go, friends. Another miserable episode of Aftershocks Tremors.
Now, although I will say, I believe this will not be a doom and gloom episode.
I like
to
it.
be honest with you. Yeah, I know. I mean, I know you've been the one that's been trying to be optimistic. I've been the one who's just been the Debbie Downer guy all the time. But I really, I do think that we're going to start seeing in 2023 some positive things happening for rock and metal, especially a lot of independent underground artists.
Sure.
Just my hunch, and we're going to kind of get into a little bit now. But just before we get into that, I know obviously a lot going on with the network. You want to fill in everyone in what's going on with with the network and the shows and so forth we got going on?
Yeah. I mean, real quick. I mean, obviously, you can find out everything that's going on over at cmspn.com. That's the easiest way to keep up with everything that's going on. But we're adding some new shows, and we've added 2 shows and a third one that'll be added by the first of the year. So you can check those out, and we're branching out a little bit. Some of the shows like we added Smoke and Talk and Roll. We added the Seth Williams show, and we're going to be adding today's Boondoggle, and those are 3 that yet again do not feel like the other shows, which is always my goal, is not to have 2 shows that sound the same.
Mm-hmm.
And so we're adding them. The Seth Williams show especially is like kind of our first not true full end not music show. I mean, that's just not what they do. They do more, more almost traditional talk radio type of stuff, like little bit of a localized flavor, but a lot of issues of the day stuff. So that, and that's good. It's a piece I think that we're missing here with the network. So we have a lot of rock talk. I mean, you can find anything you want in rock and metal, but I'm trying to branch that out a little bit. And so we're doing that, and we're adding broadcasting, like live broadcasting every night at 9 p.m. So if you go to our YouTube page or just cmspn.com, the first thing that loads is a big window that has what's coming up next, and basically between 9 and midnight Eastern every single night there will be content in there.
Nice.
There'll be 2 or 3 shows that'll be in there every single night. We're adding a talk radio station, a 5th station to the app and to the CMS radio. Busy, man, just busy. Obviously, for me personally, I started doing Chris Aiken Presents Live on Monday nights.
I saw that, yeah.
With Eric Ferrantino's Stephen Piercy's guitar player. We've been having a lot of fun doing that. That's really been that has been kind of an interesting run, because Eric's never done it before, but he's a personality, which is great. So it's a lot of fun, and obviously with him being in that camp, we get some interesting pop-ins that just kind of happen because they know it. Like Stephen Piercy himself jumped in on the show the other night and just was fucking with me for a little while. So
nice.
But it's fun, and I'm having a ball doing this stuff. I've told you this. I told you this half hour ago, man. This is what I want to do. It's I want the podcasting to be my full-time gig. So I'm going to attack it like a full-time gig. I'm going to give it the 70 hours a week that it needs, and I'm going to make it work. So, a lot of good things going on. I mean, my bottom line is the same bottom line as when you and I started the CMS podcast network before we even were doing video.
Yeah.
Which is, I just want a one-stop place for people that like metal. If you like metal, if you like rock, if you like entertainment, I guess I'm going a little bit more toward, but if you want to be entertained, you don't have to go anywhere further than the CMS podcast network, than cmspn.com. TV, radio, podcasts, video, audio, music, videos, whatever you want, it is all there. So go there and bookmark that and get rid of all the other shit you watch.
Absolutely. Yeah, it's amazing how far the networks comes from, when it was started, it was about, like I said, I was doing Skull Sessions, you obviously doing CMS for years. It was for us to branch away a little bit from the classic metal stuff. And now obviously it's done just that and then some. And and speaking of classic metal, this past weekend I checked out a couple of cool documentaries.
Okay.
Talking about classic metal, obviously the Dio one, which has been out there, everyone's been talking about. Have you seen that one yet?
I have not seen it yet. Where is it? I don't even
It's
know.
It's on Showtime.
Oh, I have Showtime.
Oh, well, then you've got it.
I have Showtime. I need to watch that.
Yeah, it was great. I mean, I thought it was fantastic. Gives you just obviously I'm a huge Dio fan. He was one of my original, guys that got me into this genre was Dio.
Sure.
And so it was great, watching that. But yeah, definitely agree. I would definitely go ahead if you got that Showtime, definitely check that out. And then I saw the Armored Saint one. It's just not out yet. I had this nice sneak preview thanks to our good buddy Bob Nalbandian. I was up to see him, and that's another one, really long one, about 2.5 hours.
Wow.
I mean, if you're an Armored Saint, even if you're not an Armored Saint, if you are, obviously it's you're gonna love it because it just goes to every nook and cranny of the band's career and everything. But even if you aren't, it's just a great story. It's just so hard. Even if you're not a fan of Armored Saint, it's just hard not to root and like those guys, man.
Oh yeah.
And what they've done, and just as just they're just a band of like brothers type of band. They really are. Literally, these guys have only known each other since they were 9 years old.
Sure.
So it's just and a lot of them, it's kind of they could have gone on to do bigger and better things, and they kind of didn't because, I mean, as we all know, John Bush was offered the Metallica gig, and that was back in the day. And obviously they talk about that extensively with Hetfield and Lars in the movie. And, just seeing that these guys sacrifice a lot just to stick together, and they're still going, they never made it majorly, like a lot of other bands did. Obviously they never got to even close to a level of success as Metallica. But I mean, if you know who they are and you know their music, they're a phenomenal live band.
Oh yeah,
phenomenal. Which is something I think, and they talk about in the documentary. It's one of the things about a band like that was they were never, no matter how good their records were, they just never able to duplicate what they can do live on the records. And I think we see a lot of bands are like that. You go see them live, you're blown away. You're just like, wow, I wish they could capture that on their records. But yeah, just a great documentary. Like I said, fan or not, just a great story. I don't know when that's coming out. Like I said, it was put together by a guy from the UK, Russell Cherrington.
Okay.
I know, Bob Nalbandian, speaking to him, did a number of Skull Sessions with Russell and and Gonzo and Phil, the brothers, put out about 2 years ago.
Right.
So you could go ahead and check out the CMS network and look for that episode. They can go into a little bit more detail, but yeah, just a great, like I said, great documentary. And it's funny just watching those videos, those documentaries, and just talking about classic metal. It's just so I always just when I watch those and then I come back and I look at modern day music. And how metal, and we've talked about this all the time, where the music industry is and everything. It's just I just can't help but just be like, what the fuck happened, But like I said, we're always talking doom and gloom, or at least I am. But the one of the things I have though been able to discover recently, I think this is good news for independent and hard rock and metal going forward. Is talking about now, as we've seen really since the pandemic, the rise of TikTok. Now, and I'm not talking about TikTok in terms of like, what you do and what other people do, what we do in the network in terms of promoting things just to put on social media, just to use as promoting a marketing tool. It's actually, if you turn on the radio these days, which I know none of us really do, which is a good thing. But it's for someone like myself who's got a daughter who's, 7 years old.
Right.
Who, I'm trying to get her in rock and metal, but it's a process, of course.
Sure.
But so she still likes she likes the pop stuff. And so I do hear sometimes these songs and I'm like, who the fuck is this?
Right.
Where are they from? I mean, I never heard of this. I mean, usually we always at least hear, before a lot of these artists get big, you hear about about them a little bit here and there. But these artists come out of nowhere. Next thing you know, they got a top 5, hit. Sure. And a lot of that's happened because of TikTok. And I didn't realize really until the last year or so how the music industry in general, how much they really look to TikTok now. That's where they get their artists from.
Oh yeah.
It's where they get the artists from. So, but the good news is that the downfall of TikTok when it comes to discovering or putting out new music is coming slowly to an end. I'm going to get into that a little bit here in a second. But before we go into, I just wanted to get before we start with that, Chris. Like I said, I know you use TikTok to promote videos, and like I said, and I think it's a good thing to promote. There's no doubt. But were you aware that a lot of these labels, these big labels, were getting their artists and they were finding bands strictly off of TikTok?
Not specifically TikTok, but socials in general. I certainly am aware that, even on our level, when we request bigger interviews with bands, what is the first question we're asked? What are your social numbers? First question, we're not what are your download numbers? What are your social numbers? That's the first thing that everybody wants to know. And I certainly get it. It's I don't approve of it because it doesn't really present a good picture. But I mean, if I had to guess, and this is strictly a guess with no knowledge at all, I would say this started with that Tekashi 6ix9ine.
Okay.
Because that was the guy that he didn't have any roots in the rap game. And for people that don't know, he's the rapper guy with the rainbow teeth and 6ix9ine tattoos, rainbow teeth, dumb hair. That he's a dopey rapper. But he had no ties to the game. He doesn't even know rap music, but he got that internet clout going. He was like, everything he put out, he would put out little 1 and 2 minute videos, new quote unquote songs, and they would do 100 million plays, 200 million plays. And I was like, who is this fucking guy? And he, without ever playing even a gig, got himself, I think, a $15 million contract from a record company.
Yeah.
So I think he was like the start point. I could be wrong on that, but he's probably the most successful guy that has done it. And and now everybody does it. Now that's where the labels go for talent.
I know, it's crazy, and we know, like, the music business, obviously, especially since the new way things have been since, obviously, the technology took over, and the new millennium back in 2000. They always can. And we talk about this a lot. They continue just to hold on to their broken model, and ever since then, the one thing they've been in love with is these gimmicks, and putting on cute little band-aids on the attempt to fix their long-term issues, which they are never able to fix. Everything is about short-term fixes with the music business. That's why it's fucking horrendous right now. And obviously these dinosaur guys and gals or whatever, they refuse to invest long term in fixing that model. Now, as we know, they have no interest in the end. When it comes to nurturing new music and artists.
Yeah.
Right. To them, it's like, we know our model's broken, but we don't care. We're just going to continue to profit, and it's everything that's going to, whatever money's lost is going to be taken out of the artist's pocket. We all know that, right? And obviously they'll never go through any sort of, financial, even if it's short-term loss, in order to do that, in order to nurture artists. And as we see, artist development is just, it doesn't
exist, which is why there's less good bands now than ever before.
Exactly. So now we always could, we've talked on Tremors here so many times about, just like I said, these gimmicks. And like I said, today, the last couple of years, it's been TikTok. Like I said, that's where they're finding music. Right before that, if we talk about the gimmick part, because when we start looking at when this started, it always reminds me of reality TV, right? When we had American Idol, remember when that was the biggest thing in the world, right?
Sure.
I remember, I think it was around in the mid 2000s. I remember, I believe I was reading an article by that guy, that Ted Joy. I always, talk about this guy, author, jazz guy, but he's phenomenal when it comes to the music business. He's a great writer. And he was talking about reality TV too, and saying, I remember, I think it was 2006. There were 9 finalists on American Idol. They all got record deals. So you didn't have to win it back then, right? It was just, and that was a thing. And there was that whole thing with the William Hung thing too. You remember?
Yeah.
As a goof, he got a record fucking deal because he was so bad. And it was just a whole, once again, to turn music into this little gimmicky, fucking stupid shit, But what I don't know if a lot of people understand though. Now in 2006, there was something else that came out in that year, which was out of Sweden, which is Spotify.
Yeah.
Now, right? So now we heard nothing, obviously, of Spotify, probably until I think Spotify, if I could recollect, correctly, it was probably around 2010 or so.
Yeah.
When Spotify really took off and started to, take hold, right? Now it's obviously this huge conglomerate. Now, if you just think about if the music industry would have back then, instead of going, oh, let's put on another, let's put on another season of American Idol. And of course, now from American Idol, we saw The Voice and all these other shows.
America's Got Talent. Yeah, right.
Exactly, right? So if they would have just, think of if they would have invested the same time and money, right? Setting up a musical platform that pay like a Spotify that pays artists their fair share and so forth. Just think of what it could have been done instead of, the shit that they're continuing to focus on, which is that entertainment factor music rather than the music itself, which is what we see. Obviously, we saw the shows, those reality shows, and what we're seeing now with TikTok, which is basically just a fucking dumbed down version of a reality show, put into 30 seconds on a fucking, on social media.
It's a 30-second reality show with no quality control.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
It's really all it is.
Yeah. So to me, I look at TikTok. It's sort of like that new American Idol thing, or the latest American Idol, And this guy now, Ted Joy, he said he talked to a senior A&R executive in a business who admitted that the majors, they're going to continue to sign new artists, but you already have to be successful now, and that's the thing too, right? These TikTok artists, they're already successful before they get signed. You have to be like Tekashi 6ix9ine. I don't, he wasn't just, on there like me or you and just decided to put up, a 30-second thing. A guy like that worked his ass off, obviously, like all these kids do, building up their channels, So now the good thing, now the one thing about this is we can look at it and say, okay, yeah, this is obviously another stupid gimmick and a fucked up way to promote new music. I don't think there's any doubt about that. Would you agree?
No, I definitely agree. 100%.
Yeah. So now I guess, looking at some of these numbers that are out there though, now the good thing is this, basically, in order to be successful these days, right, you've got to already have an audience. Like I said, they don't just sign someone based on talent. You have to already prove yourself to have, the audience. Now what's happening these days, obviously too, right, TikTok's run by what? It's run by a Chinese corporate media, doesn't give a shit about what's going on in music in different countries and so forth, right? So if you've got that successful, now I guess a lot of these now TikTok's supposedly, I'm going to bring up something here. I'm actually just going to bring it up just to show everybody, okay, what's going on, all right, with TikTok, because it's starting to go down, and that's a very good thing, as we all know.
Sure.
All right, so now I'm just going to, this is just a headline, all right? This is from Billboard, all right? Okay. So it says here, this is Billboard now, okay? So this is no just, little site or little magazine or something, right? It says TikTok is driving fewer streams to its biggest hits, right? So the top 10 TikTok tracks now are not seeing the same amount of streams as they did 2 years ago, right?
Okay.
Which means it's translating, it's not good to consumption of music at this point with pop. Now, of course, we're talking about pop music right now, but we'll get into, of course, how this is going to affect, I think, in a positive way, a lot of independent underground hard rock and metal artists out there.
Sure.
All right. So it's basically TikTok is now peaked. Okay. The market is so saturated that what's happening is, as we see here, streams are going down. They've been going down for the last year or so. Okay.
Well, let me stop here.
Go ahead.
And I have not read this article.
Okay. Go ahead.
Do you think that it's 100% that TikTok has peaked, or do you think that it has something to do with all of the other social media platforms are now doing their own version of TikTok too? Facebook has Reels and YouTube has Shorts and Instagram is still Instagram with 2 and 3 minutes, and they do what, Stories or Reels or whatever. I think I think people don't want to have as many platforms, and TikTok has the bad reputation of, regardless of anything else, people are afraid to put it on their phone. People are afraid of giving up their information, so they don't put it on their phone. And that, as well as the fact of, well, I don't have to go on TikTok. I can go to YouTube and I can watch 800 YouTube shorts, same as you would. I think that has to have some influence, doesn't it?
Well, I would, but here's the thing. Now, I think the YouTube Shorts, that's still pretty new, right? That's like brand spanking new kind of right now, I believe, correct?
It's new, but I'll tell you what, it's not small, because
no, sure.
I'll just explain it quickly on how that works, just so that I can make this point. When you create a YouTube short and you upload it, you have to put a hashtag in, hashtag shorts. That has to be the first tag on your video before you even put your description or anything. And when you do that, at least when I do that, because I have a million things on my computer for, diagnostics and whatever, it tells you how many sites or how many videos there are in that format and how many sites are using it, or channels are using it, rather.
Okay.
And the number of YouTube shorts, I just did one this morning, is 420 billion.
Wow. Okay.
Billion short videos that have already been posted. And the number of channels is well over 100 million. Okay. So it may be newer, but it sure as hell is not small.
Well, no, and that's my thing. So what I'm getting at is I don't want to use YouTube Shorts in this situation because it's newer.
Sure. Right.
But let's just take a look at Facebook. I mean, Facebook Shorts, nobody watches Facebook Shorts. Nobody. Let's be honest. If no one really puts them up on Facebook, right? If they do, it's through Instagram, right?
Yeah.
Now, Instagram, let's be honest, let's look at Instagram, because those have been plummeting too. That's like a known thing. I don't have the exact numbers, but I could probably get that. I remember when those shorts were coming, the reels, with Instagram, that lasted for a little bit. That's kind of gone down. Once again, I think what we're seeing is, and I think YouTube Shorts eventually, I think because YouTube obviously is the biggest social media platform for music, I believe, and just for entertainment in general, right? I think we all know that.
Yeah.
I think with that, it's going to have, it's going to have some staying power for a little while. I do. I don't, like I said, I can't really predict what's going to happen, but if you're just taking a look at TikTok and Instagram and Facebook, those shorts and those reels plummeting, the fact that because TikTok's the biggest reel, that's the biggest short company out there. Like I said, I think YouTube obviously is now competing with it. Well, I think it's actually taking over it. And I think that could be another reason what's driving down a lot of streams and stuff as well for TikTok.
Yeah.
Is because, like you said, the fact that it's dangerous. People don't want to upload it on their phone because of all the spy stuff that's going on with it. Yeah. Where YouTube could be doing the same thing, but no one knows that yet. We're not sure. People, I think, are gravitating now towards YouTube more so than TikTok, which I'm sure is contributing to what we're seeing on this article mentions.
Sure.
I would agree with that. Yeah.
I think that's probably dead on with that. It just is, it's a different realm. And let's be honest, short content has already been in the social media spectrum, has already proven once to be short-term gain, but long-term disaster. And I'll go back to Vines. How popular were Vines, Twitter Vines, for about a year?
Another one. Yep.
For about a year, everybody was making those 5-second Vine videos. Everybody was doing that. And everybody was getting a good laugh. Even commercial radio was doing, here's our Vines of the week. And, everybody was on board with Vines. Where did that go? That was gone as quick as it came. Snapchat. Sure. Everybody loved Snapchat for a minute, where you could send a quick hitter video or whatever, or a quick hitter picture or whatever, and then it would disappear in a day or an hour or whatever. I never did Snapchat, but I know it was that was its catch, was that it was short. It was short term. Was the last time you heard about anybody saying, "Oh, did you see that video on Snapchat?" It's been years.
No,
now,
it's been years. It's been years. Yeah, absolutely.
So what I'm saying is, short-term content, it's quick buzz, but it does not. It's
doesn't last.
Not to last.
Exactly. Well, that's the thing. So now going back to some numbers with TikTok here. Okay. All right. What's happening is a lot of these artists that are getting discovered on TikTok are starting to realize that they've got all the leverage. And so you are seeing labels now getting, I can't believe I'm saying this, they're actually starting to get into bidding wars. I mean, I haven't heard of a bidding war in a long time. I mean, that used to be the thing, right? It's an ancient model. They're now also giving advances and they're increasing royalty rates. All right. Now, these are things that these are things that we know labels hate and almost refuse to do,
they
right?
hate doing it. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. They're even paying up to 50% with some of these stars now. Okay.
Sure.
Now we know that's also not a long-term thing. That won't continue, right? Because that renders these labels irrelevant after a while. It's like irrelevant, useless. Because if you're already if you're successful, why would you then need a label?
Yeah,
I mean,
look at a guy like Nick Nocturnal. He don't need a label. That guy, every time he puts out a video of him shitting out another new metal song, he does 400,000 hits or whatever.
Exactly.
Why does he need a label? What are they going to give him? Nothing. Which is why he doesn't have one.
Exactly. It's sort of like, I mean, I'm not to get into a whole nother industry here, but just a quick little thing, not to get too much into it, but I see that happening with like a thing like OnlyFans. You know what I mean? With the porn industry thing. That's another one. If you're already, becoming big on your own, what are you going to need that for? If you've got access to all your fans, just like musicians, you got access and you've got that, you don't need these other conglomerates getting a piece of it because they're going to take control of it. And that's one thing, obviously, a lot of people are realizing not to do. You've got lawyers out there that are going to, tell you not to do that. You've got these agents.
Yeah. And I mean, and it is startling. I think, especially like with OnlyFans or Fan Time or any of that stuff, it's really startling when you actually find out the kind of money that some of the people are making.
I know, it's unbelievable.
Like,
unbelievable.
I don't know if you know who Mandy Rose is. She's a WWE wrestler. She was the NXT, which is like their minor league system. She was their champion, and they fired her.
I heard about this recently, right?
Right? Because she had like, I don't know, some porn videos or some softcore porn. If anybody has them, please send them to me because I can't find them. But she has some sort of videos that leaked from her Fan Time page. And from what I've seen, and I don't know this to be true, but from what I've seen in several reports is they gave her the option of giving over control of that to WWE or she was fired. And she kept it.
There you go.
And I mean,
wow.
How big is it to be on TV every single week as the champion of anything on a WWE product?
Absolutely.
That's got to be worth some money. Huge. That has to be worth a lot of money to your career.
Absolutely.
And if you're willing to turn that away so that you can, show your tits on fucking Fan Time, there's got to be a lot of money to be made there.
Oh, yeah. I mean, there was that whole thing here with that. There was like that OnlyFans chick that would murder her boyfriend thing. I don't even remember. Down in Florida. And she was making millions. I mean, she had her own house. I mean, you see it all the time with these women having, mansions, making millions a year. It's insane. Now, the other thing about TikTok, get back into that. Okay. The app downloads of TikTok now, look at those numbers. It peaked in the second. I had I can't bring it up on this thing. I have it over here, but maybe I'll have to attach it to something else, but it won't show up. It peaked in the second and third quarters of 2020. Right. So it hasn't been growing since. That's huge. You have the app downloads. Now this was according to Insider Intelligence, so another reputable media outlet. It's not some little thing. User engagement going down from 40 minutes daily to now 37. Where YouTube is 45 minutes. Okay. So you see right there where YouTube is taking a chunk of that share. And of course, like we said with the shorts, I think that's where we're at now. As we talk about Instagram, which borrowed that TikTok gimmick, those numbers, we said, is collapsing. You don't see it like we used to do. I used to see it. Remember when I first came on Instagram, that was just, all over the place, Now it's just, like I said, the YouTube shorts now we see. So I mean, we talk about Facebook, nothing really going on there. So,
yeah, and the funny thing is with TikTok is you can see them trying to adapt to this. Like, I don't know if this article says, again, I haven't seen the article, but one of the things that TikTok did very recently was they expanded how long your TikTok video can be now.
Yes, well, there you
go. They
go.
expanded it to from, I think it was 3 minutes. It went from 3 minutes to 10 minutes. So you can literally almost have a full, and at some point they're just going to make it. You can do full length videos.
Well, it's going to be YouTube then. That's what it's going to be. Yeah.
Well, that's, and we're not talking about this one yet, But that's the other player that's coming into this sphere is fucking Twitter. Because Elon Musk has said point blank, he wants to take out YouTube. So how long is it going to be before and I know right now you can do long form broadcasting on Twitter because we broadcast the CMS on Twitter. Or not CMS, Chris Hagan Presents. And that's 2 hours. And it's a live 2-hour broadcast on Twitter.
Wow.
And I mean, this is the company that gave us Vines.
I know. Yeah.
So, they're all adapting or they're all competing with each other for the space of the interest. Yeah.
Well, and I think this short attention span thing is just not a successful model. I mean, I know they obviously, like I said, I see my daughter pop it on YouTube with the shorts and then just attention span. She'll put on a video for 5 seconds, forward it. And I get it all the time, you're not going to you're not going to hook people in with these little gimmicky, shorts. I mean, it's going to be a trend. It's a cool little thing. It's a cool little marketing tool, I think. If you want to market your new record, sure, put a 15-second sample of a song on it, a 30-second sample. I think it's great for that. But for a place to go and discover talents, I think we're, as we're just seeing the numbers, just what we're seeing with TikTok, which for 2 years, at least 2 or 3 years, was where everyone, all these pop songs and pop artists were coming from. It's just obviously, like you said, now they have to pay more money to the stars. The songs themselves are generating less income.
Sure.
And, I mean, the market in TikTok is just absolutely saturated. So, and it's peaked, obviously, just from the numbers. So it's not going to really launch the music careers like we've been seeing, like reality TV, just like reality TV did. I mean, we still see these reality TV shows, right? Are any of them launching? I mean, sure, we see, like, obviously, your friend Mariah there. She was a contestant, though. She wasn't she didn't win it, and she had to go what? She had to, and same with her, though. Let's what they saw her, wow, great talent. Let's hook her up and put her together with some other really good female artists and create a group. Well, now she's with TSO. The drummer left Plush. I mean, how long do you think Plush is going to be around for? Probably not that much longer.
Probably another album, I think. And I mean, I don't know that. And she's never said that to me. She tells me every time I talk to her, "Oh, Plush is a full-time," and I'm like, "Yeah, okay, okay." You're on the big tour. You're out there with TSO. You're going to be happy going back to playing 30 minutes opening for fucking Alice in Chains? I don't think so.
No, exactly. I mean, you remember years ago, you had NXS that went and did that. They found their singer on, I forget which show it was.
Yeah,
I mean, that was a
Supernova show, whatever.
So, that was
Supernova.
That was it. Yes. Okay. You know what, James Durbin? I mean, once again, he was just. It's a good way to once again promote what your talents.
Yeah.
But it's not a place you're going to go, and it's going to sprout from a little, spot on these shows.
If you look at media historically, short anything never works. If you think about it, if I ask you to name it, we'll come out of the music and then I'll come back to music. If I ask you to name your top 5 shows of all time, none of them are sitcoms.
Yep.
None of them are sitcoms. And there's never been a time that the media industry that makes billions of dollars doing media has ever said, we don't need a half hour anymore. We need 5-minute content. They've never done that. They've never done that because it's proven out that you need at least 30 minutes of dedicated time in order to sell advertising. So it's not profitable in the TV or movie industry. Now let's go to music. Singles have never been as popular as EPs. EPs have never been as popular as albums. And albums have never been as popular as live concerts throughout history, which just proves the short-term shit does not make money.
Bingo.
It's not a money-making thing. It's obvious, but I think you get too many. What happens is you bring in that one guy. I think this has happened in the industry, and you were in the industry, so tell me if I'm wrong. They bring in the one guy that's a hot shot that found the one band that did have success, and then they model everything around his trip to find that one band. And then inevitably you end up with 30 bands that aren't making any money, and you end up dropping everything and then changing your format.
Well, then you take the one star in that band, take him out of that band as well. You know, I mean, there's so many
them with
examples.
somebody else because you already have money invested in them.
Exactly. It's all about him now. And obviously that's why we see the music industry, what they've been doing for years now is going towards what? The solo artist. There's no bands anymore. I mean, even if you look at hip hop and everything, remember back in the 90s, it was all rap groups,
well,
you know? And what do? They just took the big, whether it was the Wu-Tang Clan or any band, you know, I mean, obviously NWA, they just poached the one or two guys who had talent in those groups.
Yeah.
And say, get rid of those guys. You got your own thing here, you know. And then
and the model, even in our style of music, not necessarily the stoner stuff, but let's look at Frontiers Records for a minute, just as an example. What do? They poach this guy from that band and that guy from this band and put them together, and there's a new band.
It's a new band, exactly.
Here it is, and we'll put it out. And I don't think any of that is done with the thought that these bands are going to last for 25 years.
Yeah.
I think they're like, okay, well, we'll get Dokken guy and we'll get Night Ranger guy and we'll get Journey guy. Here, throw them out there. We'll put out a record or two. It'll sell to those fan bases before they tire of it.
Yeah.
That's what they do.
Well, yeah. And that's exactly what they do. You know what I mean? And like you said, but the thing is like, why, especially these days, right? Where you got musicians that we've talked about this a lot. They don't know how to play music with each other, right? That's why they've got to almost put them together on their own. These bands, they just poach them and say, "Oh, I know this guitarist, or I know this." Like we said, we just use Plush as an example, but there's a million examples of that. And then, like you said, but they don't stay together. You know, it's a short-term thing. I mean, listen, I mean, obviously, historically, you know, it's hard to keep a band together. I mean, we all know that, right?
It is, sure.
Battling egos, musical differences, and musical directions and all that stuff is what breaks up bands that are successful. But now it's like, I think they've just said, you know what, let's stop even trying to do that. We'll just find this band. We'll put out one record. We'll tell the singer or the guitarist, whoever's the big hot shot in it, of how good they are and how much of a star they can be on their own without these guys.
Yeah.
And then they dump the band, and then I mean, you saw it with like Rob Zombie with White Zombie. I mean, we just have a million examples.
Yeah, there's a ton of examples.
But now it's almost deliberately done that way. It's like, don't even join a band. Just go on. Like you said, do your own thing be Nick Nocturnal. Go on YouTube, do your own things, and then we'll pick you up and we'll make you a star. Once you go ahead and create your own successful little channel there.
Yeah, and it's getting to the point now to where if they just find raw talent, you don't even have to songwrite anymore.
Yeah.
Look at our friend Alessandro. We love him. We love Alessandro.
Yeah.
I mean, tremendous talent. But he's on. Yeah. There's a reason that he's on staff at Frontiers Records because they could throw any band together. They could throw any 3-4 guys together, call it a band, and they got this guy that's written 1,000 songs.
It's a formula. It's formulaic. Yeah, exactly.
He is. I mean. Dude, me and you have joked about this, behind the scenes and in front of the scenes a number of times that Alessandro Del in every fucking band known to man.
Pretty much.
Because every press release we get is
produced or
keyboards
or guitar or whatever by Alessandro. Yeah, exactly.
He's literally appeared on, and this is no bullshit number, 50 albums last year that came out of Frontiers.
Unbelievable.
Has to be 50. 50. I mean, that's crazy, but it's the new model. We're only using Alessandro. We're not using it to shit on him. We're using him as an example because he's the name we know. But I think every one of these labels has that guy or 2 or 3 guys that they buy songs from.
Or they have the producer who's like, or like he is, or just an in-house producer guy who, for a label. I mean, it's just, absolutely. Well, now let's take this over to now. Why does this matter for rock and metal?
Okay.
Since obviously this is mostly we've been talking about more pop stuff here.
Sure.
Well, in my opinion, I mean it's used because once again, the major labels, like they've always proven too, they have no backup plan for new music. Like I said, they're going to keep writing these short things. They've been doing this for so long now. I mean, like I said, now it's YouTube. Who knows what's next, right? Which to me allows independent and underground artists to take a little slice of the market when there is no backup plan and when things start going south, when numbers start plummeting. If they have no plan, what do they do next? Well, they tend to usually look to where? They look to the underground. They look to the independents to give them some ideas what to do because they don't know what to do. We've seen it with scenes. We always talk about now with scenes, right?
Mm-hmm.
We've talked a lot about scenes, and now we just see virtual scenes online now. Well,
Sure.
in just rock music, and that's mostly with metal, with more extreme types of music, right? With regular rock, and stuff. I mean, like I said, they don't know where to go if there's no TikTok and if there's no shorts and YouTube
Sure.
and so forth, right? So to me, the labels have no choice but to embrace new artists while they have to deal out obviously a lot of the profits more. So like you said, we're going back now to TikTok here. The fact that TikTok, artists have the leverage now, they know that, right? So they're sort of on the ropes now of what to do, right?
Sure.
Like I said, they're not going to capitulate. Obviously, they'll never capitulate easily.
No.
What to see, but I guarantee you now you're going to start seeing more of the NFT shit and all that garbage because and that'll fail eventually too, because I mean that NFT thing, I don't know what it was.
I don't get it.
No one still even knows. I don't even know anyone who's bought an NFT fucking T.
Yeah,
You know what I mean? It's
either.
like, but it's the thing is, the bottom line is, I think the next thing they're going to do, and this is why to me, finally, not so much doom and gloom, because the next thing they're going to do, it's going to fail because it's being done out of what? Desperation. When things are done out of desperation, it's never successful.
Well, and I mean, the other move that they make, which they've done in the past and has always failed, and they just did it again. They see a successful underground thing, and instead of trying to nurture the ideas, they just buy it and ruin it with their own ideas.
Exactly.
Yep. Like they just did with Bandcamp. I mean, I don't think they've ruined Bandcamp yet, but didn't some major label bought it?
The tech company that owns Fortnite, the video game. Yeah, we did that. We did that last year. We did an episode on that. Exactly.
And I'm gonna be honest, and I don't really use Bandcamp a whole lot. I do have it on my phone, and I do check out songs from time to time because our guy Haunt, the guy that does Haunt, is always on he's a big Bandcamp guy.
Yeah.
And I like Haunt, so I like to support him on Bandcamp. But other than that, I mean, since we did that story about them being bought, I have seen a huge downturn in the number of people promoting their Bandcamp pages, which says to me that it's either not producing the same amount of money as it used to, or it's not as band friendly as it used to, or they're not doing, free Fridays or any of the stuff that they used to do to really give bands incentive to promote Bandcamp. I don't know if you're seeing the same thing or not, but I'm seeing that too. And again, it's industry put money into it and bought it out. And where did it go? Why didn't they just develop the formula that was working?
Exactly. Well, I don't think, I know one of the things, I remember we talked about it with Kluber and Tanner, and I believe there used to be this thing that was called, I think, like Bandcamp Fridays,
the Free Friday thing.
Yeah. I don't think that's there anymore. Let's put it this way. If it is, I haven't seen anyone really promoting it. Now I do go on Bandcamp quite often because I do, I'm part of this Doom charts, it's like these basically underground music journalists. And when we get all these press releases, obviously most of these bands are on Bandcamp. I mean, it's still really the last place to go. And then once again, and you're right, I will go back to, I mean, they almost know that, I think they know it was a great purchase by the Fortnite company. I forget the name of the company. But a great purchase because there's nowhere else to go for independent music, unless you've got your own website and you're going to do it through a PayPal or something. But once again, what does that mean? Well, it means the consumers got to pay more though.
Yeah.
Because I should say the bands make less because you got to pay those fees.
Right.
Bandcamp's always been, I don't know. It's a good question. I'll have to probably dig into that with some of these underground bands to see what's changed over the last year. Maybe we should do a follow-up on that. That'd be a good idea to do.
But you do notice it, right? That it has gone down significantly.
I do notice it. I do notice it has, I mean, at least from my just, view of it, it has. And we predicted that. We predicted that from day one, I mean, of course they came in with the whole, we're going to take it to a different level. I know a lot of artists were hopeful, I know Tanner and Kluber were very hopeful for it. And I don't think though, I haven't seen anything where it's gotten bigger or better at all. It hasn't.
Hadn't heard nothing about that. And like I said, I just hear less people talking about Bandcamp, which tells me it's not doing what it used to do.
Exactly. Now, and I think now, because of what we're talking about today, I really do think that there is now a lot of hope, and it's time for underground rock and metal, I think, to start prospering. And there's other reasons other than what we're seeing with, obviously just these labels and just the music industry in terms of TikTok and all the social media sites. we all know what's been going on. Obviously we talk about metal. What are the big stories we've got going on in metal right now? There's two that people can't stop talking about. It's obviously New Metallica and the Pantera reunion. Okay.
Right. Sure. Mm-hmm.
Right. Those are two biggest stories. Okay. Now let's look at that. I mean, I to me, the prices for those tickets is enough reason, I think, for people. And it's the first time I've started seeing people go, you know what, man, I'm fucking done. I'm throwing up my hands because they're tired of paying those prices. I mean, the ticket prices are just exorbitant. It's insane. There is music entertainment elsewhere. And I think people are going to start looking into it more than they have prior. I really believe that, because I'll just give an example. There was this, I just did this interview with the band, the Red Mountain, and there was this festival that happened in October that was put together by Zach Moonshine from Metal Devastation PR.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Okay, him and his wife run a company. They put on this big festival in Tennessee. Now, this was a place where, it's the Bible Belt, right? So it's a place where, and they talk about a little bit in the interview that I did with the Red Mountain guys. That's a place where they couldn't play a festival like that some years ago.
Right.
I mean, if something was put on like that, because of, all the negative press from, the area around it, because it's a Bible Belt, it's a very conservative area. But these guys were saying, even when they used to try to do festivals like that, you'd go there and there'd be like 40, 50 people there, it'd be people's friends and just a typical thing. He said that there was like a couple of thousand people at this festival. It was the biggest thing that they've seen there in his whole life, for underground metal. Yeah, it's great. So obviously these younger kids, and I saw Metallica, they obviously have the show at Pantera, which is going to bring in all the old school metalheads. And of course they can afford it, right? They're all older. They've got their jobs. They've got money saved. They can afford it. These younger kids cannot go and afford a show like that. They cannot.
Nope.
And I think these kids are starting to go, well, what are we going to do? Like, we can't go to this, but we want to see live music. Well, they've got festivals like that, like the Tennessee Metal Devastation Festival. Mm-hmm. They've got now, I mean, we've seen now, these festivals actually burgeoning and growing here in the United States, which we never saw until the last year or so. Yeah. And it's not just the Aftershock Festival and stuff like that in Sacramento, where it's all the big bands, it's the Danny Wimmer stuff. Nuh-uh. We've got, like I said, I know with the underground heavy rock and the stoner rock scene, you had the Desert Fest coming in New York. You had the Ripple Fest in Texas. You've got Psycho in Las Vegas, which is, it's getting a little bit more corporate there now too, But the bottom line is festivals are we had Mountain on the Monolith on the Mesa. Monolith on the Mesa, which was in New Mexico, and they're holding them in these, when I interviewed the Odolith, that band, the Odolith, there was this festival that was in the Grand Teton Mountains in Wyoming. I forget the name of it off the top of my head. Another mountain festival thing. But these are happening everywhere now. And I do think festivals are the new way to go. I used to be anti-festival, just because as you get older, to sit there for 12 hours is tough, man, drinking and stuff. You can't do it.
It's the way to go to make money. I'll agree with that.
Yes.
It ain't the way to go for me either. I'm not going to any more festivals. No way. Mm-hmm. I'm just not. I'm too old for that shit.
Well, it is. But like I said, I think I have actually now in my mind to say, you know what, though, I might actually try to go to one of them one of these days. I might do it, because I see that it's supported and ran by people who aren't in the music industry, and that to me, it's from these either publicists or from these bands. Like the Ripple Fest was put together by the singer from High Desert Queen, the stoner band that's down there in Texas, Ryan Garney. Him and a couple other guys put that together. So it's being done, naturally, organically, whatever word you want to use. It's being done the old school way,
right?
Where it's done from the people in the scene themselves, and they're building scenes again. We've been talking about that. Scenes are starting to, get built now. Again, physical scenes and not just virtual scenes. So it's that grassroots level that things are starting to kind of come up again. And I do think there's hope now. I really do. I'm starting to see a little bit of hope in underground music now. And once again, it's just more about musicians taking hold of their scenes and not giving in to these big labels and these industry people. And so I'm hopeful. That's all I'm going to say with that.
I just hope that there's enough interest still in the game, and not at our level. I mean, we're going to listen to new music till we die. I'm talking about the youth that have kind of their entire adult lives have been priced out of this stuff. Because really, these expensive, super heavy things have been, these super expensive things rather have been probably the last 10 years.
Yeah.
So anybody in between 15 and 25 years old, that's all they know. That, and hopefully there's still enough, there's enough interest, because a lot of these people look at the popularity of even live streams. People are certainly, kids are more than willing to just watch it on fucking YouTube on their phone.
Yeah.
And I hope that there's still, and I think it's going to, what it's really a take is guys like us dragging some young kid to a show and letting them get that feel of the amps and the fucking bass line shaking your ribs and, where you get that excitement again. But dude, the big fear I have, and it's, is just that people have been away from it for a long time.
Yeah, no, I know. And well, I mean, and just going back to the festivals, though, I think that's why they're important, because these bands can't tour. The venues are closing. We can get to a whole deeper discussion in terms of economics, but that's what's driving this too, right? You've got all this inflation. People can barely, afford to fill up their car. How are you going to afford to pay a fucking $500 Metallica ticket? I mean, you just can't do it. So festivals, I think, are important because it can give, I think, these younger kids, you drag out your friends, you get in the car, you go take a couple-hour ride. You could sleep in your car. You could do that kind of shit when you're young, and you're going to do it. And it's an event. It's an actual whole event. It's a memory you're going to have of a whole day thing, not just, I saw this band for a couple hours and they were really good. I mean, it's an experience. And I think
I agree.
I think that's what needs to, like you just said, they need to be sold on the experience. You said you need to be taken out to that show where everything's shaking and everything. That's what needs to happen. Is the experience is what's going to keep you hooked into this music. Yes, I think the days of touring, like we talk about with all these bands these days, these younger bands and newer bands. Yeah, they're not going to get into bands and you can't tour because no one's going to come see your show anymore. So you have to balance that sort of online virtual scene thing. And then, of course, these festivals, though, is where I think it's going to start taking off. It's the only place I think it's going to grow.
Yeah, and I do think, though, that these ridiculous ticket prices are going to help the festivals.
They are
in the long run because, where you have to spend literally vacation money to go see a Metallica. I mean, honestly, if you and your daughter, if your daughter was totally into Metallica and you wanted to give her the real experience, we're going to go to the Snake Pit. We're going to, for $4,000 or whatever.
Yeah.
That for the two of you, that's crazy talk there to go do that. Or if your daughter was into Taylor Swift, I mean, there was that big controversy with her tickets that people couldn't get the tickets and that they were $10,000 to $20,000 or Springsteen $10,000 for tickets in some places. It's like, people are just done with that. People want to go back to being entertained for cheap. And exactly. hopefully you get, these metal fests. That's the one thing that I'll say a lot positive about metal. I don't want it to sound like I'm shitting on these fests. I'm not. But the big positive that I have from those, if you're into that scene, like you're into the stoner scene, if you're into the stoner scene and one of those festivals pops up, any one of those festivals, the ticket's at the most about $40.
Yeah, tops.
Which is like way affordable
for an all day event. Exactly.
Yeah, that's pretty damn affordable. That's even affordable if you only want to see half the show.
Exactly. Yep.
If you only want to see half the show, you'd still go for $40. You wouldn't go for $5,000.
Exactly.
$5,000. You're planning to stay for as many minutes as you could possibly be there and hoping to get your value out of it.
Exactly. And then when you get into that $5,000 show, are you just going to sit there? No, you're going to want to feed and drink.
Yeah.
You're going to, you're going to see merch you want to buy. You have to park your car. Yeah. That's like another $400 right there. I mean,
exactly.
Insane.
And this is a side note, but I'm just going to say this to Metallica specifically, but everybody else as well. Motley Crue, the stadium tour, all of these fucks. Stop advertising that quicker access to the merch booth is a perk.
That's fucking.
Fuck you.
That's unbelievable, man.
And they all do it in their press. They're like, you get exclusive first run to the
to spend more
line.
money. Yeah, you get a quicker access to spend more money.
Yeah,
that's what it is.
Fuck off.
Fucking unbelievable, man. Unbelievable.
And Metallica had that in every one of their packages on the 72 seasons that you get. If you buy the package, you get exclusive first attempt, before the general public. You could buy the merch first.
Unbelievable.
Get out of here.
Not fucking real. Yeah, it's just it's got to stop, man. I mean, there's got to be, and it's not going to stop obviously until people just start voting about it with their wallets. Stop buying.
Yeah,
exactly. So yeah, but just wanted to say, you know what? No doom and gloom right now. I think we might have turned the corner. Hopefully, I'm feeling optimistic. I know that's been a big change. It's stuff I've been saying on here, and for the most part, you too. I mean, we both kind of in the same boat on that. But yeah, I mean, I do think just like everything has to, eventually get destroyed and just rebuilt again. I mean, we see it all the time, and I think we're going to start seeing. I really think between this, watching these TikTok numbers going down, watching, and now obviously, that not being sort of the place where you get discovered, watching, these exorbitant amounts of money that you have to go just to see a couple hour show of a band you like, that you said spending vacation money and money you have put away to buy whatever it is, and you tap it into it just to go see Metallica again. And let's be honest, as we've said, not the same Metallica. I mean, not even close to what they once were.
Right.
People have to, are going to get tired of it. Now, I'm not saying the diners, the older people they are still stuck in their ways. Some people just be stuck in their ways forever. It's okay. Let them. It's more like you said for the youth, because we've got to replenish this music. We talk about it all the time. We've got to have bands that are going to get, up and coming bands that got to replenish when these guys, the Metallicas are gone, and the reunions of the Pantera reunion or whatever you want to call it. It's not a reunion, whatever. When that's done, what's next then? I mean, if they don't get together and actually put together new music, the four of them, which they can't call themselves Pantera anyway, no one's going to fucking buy into
Nobody's going to be good with that.
Nobody's going to be good with that. So what are you going to do? What's left after that? Another fucking Motley Crue fucking garbage store?
And to be honest, who cares? I mean, look, Pantera's my favorite band of all time. If they repackage the band as Cowboys from Hell and make an album, will I listen to it? Yes. Will I enjoy it? Of course. But that being said, that doesn't help the industry at all.
No,
that just helps them. That helps them.
And the industry won't do that because they say, no, we want you to put that Pantera name on there, or we ain't doing. I don't think they're gonna. You don't think they're not gonna?
I think they'll go the heaven and hell route.
You think?
I think they could if they're gonna do music, which the fact that they're already talking about it, I think it's already probably being recorded. But
possibility.
I strongly think they won't call it Pantera. They know that will just be heresy to use the Pantera term. But if they go the heaven and hell route and call it Becoming or Walk or whatever, so that everybody knows. I mean, the obvious would be call it Cowboys from Hell, and everybody will know what it is without being disrespectful. And they can play that game. They could say, you know what, we don't want to disrespect the brothers, but we wanted to make new music together that encapsulates the Pantera blah, blah, blah. We've heard the speech.
Yeah.
They could do that. But again, to me, that only helps Pantera. And that's fine. They should be able to make as much money as they want to make as well.
Sure.
My point is somebody got to step up and take care of somebody new.
Exactly.
Whether it's Dirty Honey or the Red Mountain or whoever the hell it is, somebody with some money has to say, we got to take care of newer bands. And even Dirty Honey's starting to get up in age a little bit.
Yeah. Yeah.
For them not to have made it, it's like, okay, it's probably time that they're not going to.
They're probably not going to. They opened for Black Crows. That's probably as big as they're going to get.
Black Crows, Slash. I mean, they had tours.
Yeah.
They had big tours. They didn't get it done, and that's unfortunate, but because they are a great band, but
they are. Yeah.
And again, we're pointing to the old model ourselves by saying it. Who did they tour with?
Well, exactly. Yeah.
I know.
Well, because it's old models. Well, that old model's still there. That's why. You know, it's still alive. I mean, it's a broken one, but it's still alive. They're using it, you know, because they don't know what else to do. And they don't want to know what else to do. They're lazy. They're comfortable. As long as they're seeing profits they want, that's all they give a shit about. They don't care about the future of music at all.
No.
It's going to come from, you know, as we say, just like anything comes from, it comes from people, comes from that, you know, the bottom. And it's when people put their foot down and say, you know what? Fuck that. I'm not spending $5,000 or not spending even $1,000 on going to see Metallica.
Dude,
you know, I mean,
anybody that's spending more than
$200, $200.
$200 is insane.
Exactly.
And to be honest, that number's insane.
That's insane enough. It is, exactly.
Dude, I spent $125 for my Metallica Pantera ticket.
I said that's of course that's
to
fine.
me that's insane.
It's well, I mean, you're getting some good bands for 120.
Okay, in today's value, it's a good show. But let's be honest. I saw Metallica in their prime for $15 3 nights in a row in you know, San Francisco or in LA, San Francisco, and fucking Sacramento. Well, you know, $15 a hit at their prime.
Well, that's the thing, right? With these stadium shows, that's the other thing. I mean, I saw the Metallica, Guns N' Roses, Faith No More show.
Yeah, I saw that too. It was like $50 maybe.
I think it was $100, almost $100 back then. Then it was, you know, what, 30 years ago.
Yeah.
But once again, you're not getting the same experience. Like, I mean, when that was the first time I'd seen Faith No More, I was excited. I'm like, I'm all the way up here. They're down there. The sound. This isn't what I was hoping for.
Yeah.
It's not the experience. You know, the way the experience the fucking live music is in that club when that band is starting to burgeon. You know, I remember seeing like Korn when they were starting to take off and they sold out this, you know, little club in Long Island, New York, them in VOD. And it was fucking packed to the nines.
Sure.
And you just knew they were going to be huge because that thing was just sold out. I mean, that thing was packed. And you just knew they were going to be huge, but it's great that I got to see them twice in a club in New York before they ever even, you know, became anything. You know, they were just getting going. That's when you really fall in love with music, not when you see these bands in a fucking stadium.
And and let's be honest, you've seen Korn since, and you probably don't even think of those shows.
Well, let's see. I've seen Korn, I think, once over the last 10 years. I saw him with Chevelle some years ago. You know, it was different because I was kind of even there to see Chevelle. I wasn't really even there to see Korn because I had already seen him. And I just, once again, I knew it wasn't going to be the same experience.
Right. I mean, but that's my point is you saw him at the start.
Yes.
So anything after is
it's just not the same. Exactly.
Yeah, exactly. So, I'm the same way, man.
So stop paying, you know, just stop paying these fucking prices and go
stop paying the prices and stop using TikTok to find your fucking bands.
Yeah, well, I'll tell you, any metal fans using TikTok to find anything, you know, I don't know what to say.
Yeah,
you know,
unless you're looking with that. Look, if it's fine if you want your 15 seconds of funny, go ahead.
That's fine.
That's fine. But if you're looking for music, if you're looking, I got to find a new band. TikTok, you know, you know,
or just any shorts in general. It's not the way to go, and I'm glad to see that shit's hopefully getting saturated, dying out, and I think, like I said, hopefully this means good things for underground rock and metal to come in the future. So, with that, man, I think we're done here. We're a little over an hour, so that works out well. So, anything else we want to address here? You want to talk about before we wrap this up?
No, sir. Just make sure you visit cmspn.com and visit all the shows, not just mine or not just Matt's, but all of them, because there's a lot of good content and you're bound to find something you like. At this point, we have so many shows, you're bound to find something you like there. So,
and there's going to be more to come, as I know you're going to just keep adding to the beautiness of the CMS network. And fantastic. So, all right. Once again, Tremors, thanks everyone for tuning in, and we will see you next time with hopefully no more doom and gloom. See ya.